Happy day, happy day. This is Positivity Discussion. You have to remember that HIV still exists. You have to get tested. You have to use protection. And if you have contracted HIV, you can get on medication and you can live a better, healthier life. This is my first time doing live streaming on YouTube. And I'm going to see how it's going to work out. And for me, today is a very important show. I have two beautiful, strong women that are coming on, and they have been diagnosed with HIV 28, 29 years plus. I hope I'm right. And we just want to talk about what they've been through, the effects that long term survivors do have. And I believe I'm going to go ahead and do 4 shows on long term survivors for the next month because I think it's needed. I think a lot of us that are diagnosed with HIV, especially the newly diagnosed, don't really seem to realize that if it wasn't for long term survivors, they paved the way for all of us. We wouldn't be here today with the fight that they went through to get us where we're at today when it comes to the medication and all the services that we have. So I want to tell all of them thank you. Much, much, much respect for long term survivors. So I'm going to bring Lalith Connolly on and Maria HIV Makia, and we're going to talk to both of them about being women living with HIV and being long term survivors. Hi, Lalith.
Hi.
Oh, we got
Hi,
Maria.
Maria.
Hi.
Beautiful women. We're gonna
D, before you go, oh, okay, never mind. Never mind. Go on ahead.
you sure?
Yes.
Okay. You guys can introduce yourselves first. I don't want to do it. Grown women, you can do
Okay,
it.
I'll let Maria go first. Go on, Maria.
Yeah, Maria, go ahead and tell everybody who you are and how long you've been diagnosed and what you've been doing and just give everybody an idea of who you are. I'm sure most of the people that are watching know who you are.
Who knows?
Yeah.
My name is Maria Mejia. I was born in Medellin, Colombia, raised in Miami since the age of 3. I contracted HIV from my first boyfriend at the age of 15 in 1988. So I'm a 31-year survivor and been on medication for almost 22 years, undetectable. And but the road has not been easy at all. As we age with HIV and all the traumas that we've had. I mean, I've had this trauma since I was a teenager, and it was a death sentence. You know, a lot of years passed. I just didn't become an advocate or an activist all of a sudden. I was a teenager. I didn't know no one that had HIV because we moved back to my country to die, me. And so I wasn't living in secret, not telling anyone in my family that I had HIV. My mom told me not to tell anyone in the family or friends because they would discriminate me. So a few years passed. There was no access to treatment. There was no medication. I went down to 39 T cells because back then they did check the CD4 counts there, but there was no viral load test, and I was dying. So I returned to the United States in the year 2000, and I had cancer in my uterus as well at the same time. And I was given 1 month to live, and I was put on treatment. The doctor said, you either take your medication and live, and if you don't take it, you're gonna die within a month. And I said, I want to live, and that's what I did. And then at the same time, I started going to these educational classes in a hospital called Jackson Memorial Hospital, which my advocacy really started there by coincidence. And ever since then, I have been advocating for myself and for others and trying to, create awareness and showing my face with no shame and no, with much dignity and respect to show people that HIV could happen to anyone and it comes with many faces, as we all know. And I'm just one of the faces of millions of faces living with this condition, but a lot of people live in the shadows. And so the reason why I show my face is to humanize this condition.
Thank you, Maria. I have to say one thing before I let Malik speak. We think we know about everybody's HIV journey. And I didn't know that you were diagnosed at 15.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I thought you were diagnosed at 19 years old. I didn't know that.
Well,
So
I was
just
told
told
that I
me
had
something that I
HIV.
didn't know.
I was told that I had HIV in 1991, a week after my 18th birthday. But I contracted it from my first boyfriend in 88. So I had just turned from 17 to 18. I was a
Then you,
teenager.
yeah,
And, but it's been living in me, causing havoc
yeah,
since I could pinpoint it exactly there because it was my first boyfriend. And that's another story in itself because I come from a lot of violence, a lot of background of a lot of the foster care system, and I'm an ex
yeah,
gang member. And so my fight is not only with HIV, but it's with also mental illness and obviously now advocating for long-term survivors because I believe we are the forgotten ones. I want to thank you. I'm very
yeah,
humble and honored to be in your show, Dee, and I really am grateful that you're doing this because sometimes, like you said, people don't know what we've been through. Like my partner been diagnosed 2 years and I'm his best teacher because he gets to see maybe his future and I tell him maybe it will not be exactly that way because
yeah,
like you said, we were the guinea pigs. We had to go through a completely different time, not taking away, that diagnosis to anyone because that's anyone that contracts HIV. I'm sure they are fearful, but back then it was death. That's all you saw,
yeah, yeah.
and those are facts.
Yes, thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
Okay, Believe you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, yes. It's good to
I don't
see
see her.
you. I know. Can you see me though? You can see me,
No,
right? You guys
you
see me
guys just see
right now?
yourself
Can you see? Oh,
and
yeah.
me.
It's so
Oh,
good.
okay.
It's so good to see you,
Hi,
Maria.
Lilith.
Um, you know, I totally understand like what you just said. For me, I was diagnosed at the age of 23. I didn't know. I knew one person and that person that I knew was a woman. She was a Caucasian woman, and she had AIDS. Back then, they were using a term, that we don't use today. I don't get caught up in the term, the language. That's not my fight. It is what it is. But they were using full blown AIDS, if you guys remember. But I was never afraid of her. And I didn't go and get tested because I thought that I had HIV. I went tested on a buddy system to support someone else that was an intravenous drug user, and they were like bouncing off the walls when because I was doing counseling at a women's drug center, and she, this program came in and they were talking about women with that they were finding a lot of women. This was 1990. A lot of women were becoming positive, and they did not, and this was when they were learning and starting to learn that you could get it through heterosexual contact, not just gay, because at first, it was a gay man's disease. And so they came in and they educated us about women and the what are some of the things that we should be aware of if you've ever been an intravenous drug user, always, prostitute, this and that, and multiple partners, and and so they went on to educate what they was educating. And this young lady, she was bouncing off the wall. So I said, you know what? Let's go get tested. They offered where we could go and get tested. So I said, I'll go with you as a buddy system. And back then, the results took 3 weeks for us to get our results back. And The 3 weeks went by, and every time I saw her, I was there. I had to calm her down. And so the day came back 3 weeks later for us to go get our results. And I let her go in, hugged her, and said, "You're going to be fine. Everything is going to be okay." She went in and came right out, and her results was negative. We hugged again, and I said, "I see it, told you, I'll be right back." So I went in, and the nurse that did my testing, I didn't do anonymous testing. We were offered anonymous, but I wasn't tripping on it. I was like, no, here's my name, my information, no problem. So she first said, I sat down in the little office, and she said, "Well, Miss Connolly, I need to let you know that your results are negative." And so I said, "Okay." And I got up to leave. And then she did like a double take, like, hold on, Miss Connolly, don't leave. And so in my head, I'm thinking like, I want to get out of here. I got my results. I'm good.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah,
fine. I had nothing to worry about. We did the pre-counseling. You know how they did the pre-counseling first before you even get tested, ask you what are some of your high risk behaviors and whatnot. At that time, I was living the life of a lesbian. I had a daughter at 18. She was 5. But I did not think again that I was at risk. I know I've had unprotected sex. Went through losing a close friend of mine at a young age, and this was after my daughter was born, and I had unprotected sex, and but I'll go back to that later. But just moving forward, just with time's sake. So she said, "No, Miss Conley, I really need you to sit down." So I sat back down, and she said, "I am so sorry. What I meant to say, your results came back positive." And so, and I jumped up again, but this time I can't even explain to you what that feeling felt like.
yeah,
Per se, you're HIV positive, because it was like the little office just got smaller, and I felt like I was being swallowed into the ground. I felt like the ground was opening up, and all I could think about was my mother and my daughter, because my mom had just got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, early onset Alzheimer's. And I had a 5-year-old daughter. So I'm thinking, okay, my mom is sick. Who's going to raise my daughter? The lady was telling me stuff. I guess she was saying, "Oh, that doesn't mean you're going to die or soon," or I don't know what she was saying, because I had blanked her out. All I was thinking about, who's going to raise my daughter? How am I going to tell my dad? Because I didn't even fathom to think to tell my mom, because she has Alzheimer's. So that wasn't something that I felt that I would have a conversation with her. So my main focus was really my daughter. And that Caucasian woman though that had AIDS. I remember her going to get AZT, and she'll come back to the program, and she was so sick, like she had taken chemotherapy. And I remember she was throwing up and very sick. And I didn't have a problem like touching her, putting her hair back out her face. I would go and get a rag and wipe her face. I was thinking, so I know I didn't get it from her, but I wasn't even thinking on that level to be afraid of somebody with AIDS. My mind wasn't there, because I just wanted to care for her. So after that, I didn't know what to do, and I just was like in a fog. I was in this fog that people were, life was going on, and I don't know how long I was in that fog, but I knew something inside of me said, "You're gonna have to tell somebody, unless you're gonna die, if you don't want to die." And so I told somebody. Next thing I knew, people were talking about it. And so what I did, I just said, I want to learn as much as I can. And I thank God, because just like now, I never thought that I would be sitting here 29 years plus. It's going to be 30 years in July. I never thought that I would be here almost 30 years later, because I didn't think that I would. I was 23. I didn't think I would ever live to 25, much less 30. Now I'm 53. And, the time goes by so quickly. But I remember what I did, what I said to myself is, I have to do something, because I don't want to die. I don't want to die like this. And so I told like one person, I told maybe 2 people. Next thing I know, other people were learning, but I couldn't focus on that. I had to focus what I had to do. So I remember boxing, because I love boxing. Even today, I love boxing. My dad, we used to do box around, and we would go and see. He took me to a couple of boxing matches. We would watch all the fights, and so I got it in my mind. I have to learn my opponent, and that's what I did. And it was women that had been living with HIV, and these women taught me how to fight.
Hmm.
These women, a lot of them are not here today. It's a couple of them, and I still stay, keep in relative contact with. And we all had young kids, little kids at the time, and neither one of us would think that we would be here to be grandparents, much less raise
Yeah.
and then be grandparents. And so that's what we did. We rallied together. We started support groups. But these women, they taught me how to fight. And so fast forward, here it is 30 years later. 10 years ago, Maria, I also was given an AIDS diagnosis because I didn't want to take the AZT. They immediately tried to get me on that. I took it and I started feeling sick. I remember my friend, and I didn't want to be like that. I didn't want to be limited and feeling sick all the time. So I rejected that. And they started coming out and they said, "Oh, you have to take these meds." And I'm like, "My numbers are good. I go to the doctor. Everything is good. I don't want to take your meds." And somehow in between that, I developed a drug resistant strain. So 10 years ago, they diagnosed me with AIDS. They said, "You have full blown AIDS and get your affairs in order because we don't have no drugs for you. We can't do anything to help you." Come to find out, immediately after that, I also found out that I was fighting cancer, precancerous cells, polyps had grown in my body, you know. But I was on a study for almost 20 years, and that study saved my life. It was for women positive and negative. That study saved my life because they caught the cancer. And when they told me that I was dying, it was like I was laying in a hospital bed and I was trying to call my dad. I was trying to call my brothers. I had two older brothers. I was trying to call my family members and nobody was, I couldn't reach anybody. And they came in, they said, "We're going to try a blood transfusion." Now this had been passed, when they were testing the blood. So I wasn't, thinking about that. But the first thing that came to my mind is like when I saw them hooking this blood up and I was out of it. So I wasn't contesting anything. Okay, whatever. They telling me I'm going to die and I'm weak. I'm feverish. Everything is coming out both ends, the front, my mouth, my backside, just to keep it real. And I'm like, whatever. But my mind started to say, whose blood is this? And in my body, though, heard it was the blood of Jesus. And if you ain't tapped into it, and and that was it. I don't remember anything. 3 days later, I sat up and I came to in the hospital. And I remember the nurses first coming in, and they was like, "Oh, Miss Conley, you awake?" And then they're looking at me like, "What?" After they were circling me like buzzers, like vultures. You're dying, and now they're looking at like, "Oh my God, you got a glow, and what's going on?" And we don't know. We had never seen no reaction this quick, and so now they start scrambling to figure out what medications, to find something to get me on. But I told my dad, I learned my opponent. And then I went to my dad and I asked him, I said, "Dad, do you know anything about HIV and AIDS? Have you heard?" He said, "Well, I've been hearing a little bit about it on the news, but I really don't know." So I sat him down. I explained to him what it was. And I said, "Dad, this is what I had." My dad looked at me.
I'm sorry.
"Mm,
I'm sorry.
My dad looked at me and he said, "Okay, Patsy." And because he nicknamed me, he gave me my name and he gave me my nickname and he just hugged me and he said, "I love you." And that was the extent of it. We never talked about it. Even when I started advocating and going everywhere and advocating, we never talked about it. But he never treated me any different. My brothers, when I told them, nobody in my family ever, and that's rare. Um, that's rare because I know a lot of people they have family members and they don't want to have nothing to do with them. And it was the opposite for me. I got so much love and support from my family,
I want to
and
say, let me say something. Both of you guys had a passing of your fathers.
yeah,
Release just recent. So I want to say sorry to both of you.
thank you,
It's hard to lose
Thank
a
you.
family member.
thank you.
Um, I want to ask you guys because you've lived half of your life more. You
More,
have
More.
more than half. Yes,
half your life.
More positive than negative.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
What I know long-term survivors go through a lot with different ailments. Um, do you find yourself, your body changing or things going on within your body because the virus has been there so long? And if so, what is it? I think
yeah.
people need to hear because we always try to glorify, you know, oh, live your best life. And that's
Well,
nice
I'll
to
tell you.
do that. But I think people still need to know the reality and the
Well,
effects that HIV
I'll,
has caused or AIDS has caused in people's bodies.
Yeah.
well, I have. This is the reality for me, because I know everybody's not the same, but I believe that most of us long term survivors are going through a lot. And as far as myself, the mental part of it has been hard.
Yes.
When I was told that I had HIV, it was done in a place called Job Corp, which I'm very grateful for because they gave me the opportunity if I wanted to stay. It was like, since I came from such a violent background, as I mentioned, around the age of 17, I also wanted to change my life around. So they took me from Miami, my social worker, and took me to Kentucky to Job Corp. That's where I got randomly tested. I didn't know I was sick or anything, and I was told in a very uncompassionate way, "You have AIDS." I I didn't I knew what it was, but it was I didn't cry. I didn't get angry. All I saw was like all my life pass in front of me, and I said to myself, I'm never gonna get married, and I'm never gonna have children. And the reality is that I do believe that HIV has taken that from me, the motherhood, because although I was told many times by my doctors, that I could have children, I was always scared. My mom also was very scared. So it was like programmed that I was never going to be a mother. And I'm 46 now. And, although I have tried now, I mean, the reality is that it's not easy. Physically, I may look good in the outside. Sometimes I say, thank God I don't look like what I've been through. But I could tell you that it's getting harder for
Yes.
me. I'm fatigued every day.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't get out of bed. Sometimes I have to cancel conferences and things, not because I don't want to, or I go in a conference and speak and I go immediately to my bed, to my room. People think, oh, why don't you just come out and have dinner? And it's not because I don't want to socialize. It's just my body gives out on me. So
Tired.
I'm always in pain, neuropathy, HIV inflammation. I feel the toxicity of the medication as well.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
I'm tired.
Yes.
Okay, I'm tired of seeing my friends die. So obviously, every time a long-term survivor passes, and since we have access to nationally and internationally to all advocates like ourselves, you get to see it in a higher scale. Like, it's last year was like 30 of my advocate and personal friends that passed. So every time that happens, I'm like, am I next? Sometimes I get a cold, and obviously it takes me a month and a half to get through it. And I'm like, is this it? Because I feel like I'm going to die. And I've always told myself that I wouldn't live more than like maximum I think to the age of 50. Now I try to be more lenient with that mentally, because you do attract
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. What
But at the beginning, I was going to live to the age of 28, because it was known that you wouldn't live more than 10 years after being diagnosed. And like I mentioned, in Colombia, I didn't have no support groups. I didn't know no one.
Right.
So the fighting part, I've always been a fighter since I was a child, and I think that just came naturally in me to want to survive. I think that's our natural instinct. I took my own urine for 3 months. I did all types of alternative treatments. I took duck embryos, anything that you could think of to survive. And I have survived. I'm gonna say, every day is a bad day. No, I have good days as well. The gym is very important. I have to get back on track. And what I could say is what I tell everyone that minimizes this condition to this day. People are still dying of complications of AIDS, and as I say to them, even to the young people that don't respect it anymore, HIV/AIDS is not a death sentence anymore, but it is a life sentence. You get
Like,
no breaks.
Definitely.
There's a lot of things going on at the same time, and sometimes when I tell them these, especially the newly diagnosed, they get very scared. I'm like, you have to respect this virus because it will take you out. I've known people that had their immune system pretty good, and with the virus, they get something, they get a cold, it becomes a pneumonia complicated, and they're dead. And that affects us psychologically. So I just hope that doctors, when I speak to them, they make a special assessment for us long-term survivors, because we're like people that came back from a war, okay, and we're still dealing with the effects of it every day of our lives.
Yeah.
came back from a war.
Yeah.
Um,
Release and
you
you.
know, oh, go on ahead.
No, I'm saying and have
Yeah,
you
for
seen any
me,
effects?
it's like it's not easy, you know. But it's I don't know. My mindset has changed dramatically over the years, drastically over the years. And there was a time, I think, after I got that AIDS diagnosis, and they, had told me that that was it, and I came up out of that, like, gradually. My outlook, it's not easy. Um, I was on a lot of meds when I did. I said, okay, I'm going to, the same thing, Maria, my doctor said, if you don't start taking these meds, because we got limited meds for you anyway, and we're going to find a company, got something new. And so they was trying some of the new things, and they eventually found something that I'm on now. And this is an old regimen, but it's working. And
Right.
I've been trying to get on a one pill regimen or something. I can't do that right now. So they,
Right.
but whatever. Um, I was on so many medications. I was having surgeries. I was the same thing, fatigue, diarrhea.
Hmm.
Every time I turn around, oh, well, here's a pill for that, in combination with the HIV meds, which we know are very toxic. Now it is all these years later. I've been on the meds consistently for about 10 years. And I'm telling you, I feel more side effects from the medication than I do from the HIV.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I am now only taking HIV meds. They had me on anxiety meds, depressant meds for depression.
Yep.
I was on meds for acid reflux. You name it, I was on.
Hmm. Me
Now I'm
too.
only taking the two meds, which is for my HIV, and I changed the way I eat. I exercise now, and I've noticed that a lot of the things that I was dealing with before, living with HIV, that I was dealing with, I'm no longer dealing with so many of those. But again, we're getting older, so
Yeah.
the stuff that's going to happen as you get older is happening. I think
Yeah.
for us with HIV, how you take care of it and because everybody's body is different, and how it interacts with your immune system and your body and stuff. So you'll have different effects. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm looking for something. There's something out there that's gonna get me off of those meds.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah.
stay on HIV meds till the day I die. I'm just gonna be honest with you. But
Keep
right now,
searching.
we're working towards that. My wife and I were working toward doing that. But I would never tell anybody to stop taking their meds. But I'm
Hmm.
telling them meds, boy, they are very potent. That's some
It's
potent.
hard.
That's
It's
some potent drugs.
here.
There's some, and just the thought of sometimes I look and I'm like, man, it's already time. I gotta take these things again. But then on the other spectrum, I said, okay, God, I'm grateful. I'm
Hmm.
grateful that I do have something that I can take to help me. Go on
Yeah.
again.
Let me read. I'm gonna read a comment. There's a comment here um, from Bruce Richard, and he says, we really need more support for long-term survivors in this field. The priorities of many communities, organizations, and activists are messed up. It is very sad. The focus, oh, it went away. Okay, the focus is on prevention, PrEP, and social justice advocacy, which are all important, and HIV 2020. But we need to care for the people who need support the most. And
Thank you.
it's
Thank
so
you,
right.
Bruce.
Yeah,
Yes,
he
thank
is
you.
so right.
Love you,
I
Bruce.
have not.
Hmm.
They said they love you, Bruce. I have not been living with HIV 29 years, 30 years. Um, I've been living with HIV 22 years.
That's a
And
pretty long time.
the things that you guys talk about, it scares me.
I'm sorry.
Because I know, and I pray about it, and I'm like, it's not going to come back. But I feel the effects of my body. My body hurts.
Hmm.
I
Mhm. Yeah.
and I know it's because I've been living with HIV for so long.
Yeah.
Um, when I get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, I'm in pain. My body hurts really bad.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Um, so I know, but like I said, although I'm viewed as a long-term survivor, and I went through the effects of the protease inhibitors that made me sick,
Mhm.
I still wasn't where you guys were when you were diagnosed. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So just the amount of respect that I have for both of you and all the other long-term survivors. I can't imagine what you went through when you were first diagnosed. I was diagnosed in 97, and it was nothing nearly what you guys went through. So I just want to say thank you again, for your advocacy and your strength and helping other people to get over this condition that Maria calls a human condition. I like that.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He also says, imagine the same energy and expertise put into criminalization or PrEP went into long-term survivor issues. Not knocking those issues, but we are really shafting long-term survivors. And that's why I chose to do for a whole month of shows on long-term survivors.
Mhm.
Because it just seems like people forget,
Yeah.
like they're just left behind. And
And
don't get me
yeah,
wrong, it's good to have the youth come in because we're going to need it.
of
Mhm.
course,
Because
we
we
were
won't be here
mentoring
long.
them.
Yeah, we won't be here long. I want to read something really quick and then I'll ask you guys another question. There was a question put up on Facebook yesterday for long term survivors. And someone asked them what, are they going through? I just want to read a few. I'm not going to read names, but I'm going to read a few because some people say fatigue has always been their biggest issue.
Yep.
Post shingles, nerve pain,
Hmm.
aging,
Yeah.
Yep.
joint pain.
Yep.
A lot of them say no support. There was a lot of people that said no support.
Mhm.
Isolation.
Yeah, isolation. Um, one person here, let's see, where is it? Diabetes, neuropathy. A
Yeah.
lot of long-term survivors have neuropathy. A lot of them are saying aches and pains. So I mean, there's like 80
Yeah.
comments here from long-term survivors. I see a lot of aches and pains, forgetfulness, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
myself forgetting. Forgetfulness, neuropathy, pain, loneliness. Those are was four of the major ones because I read through all of them, and it it, it made me sad. Yeah, it it made me sad.
You know what? All that, the pain and like I said, I mean it was really extreme. Um, I had to fight to get back to where I'm at right now and feeling the way that I feel living with HIV. And again, like what Maria said, I thank God we don't look, all of us, all three of us,
Yeah,
we don't look like what we've been through.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That's a blessing.
yeah.
But and I'm just being the devil's advocate. But I think a lot of the things that was going on with me had to do with the medication
Thank you.
they that I've been on.
Yes,
And
you
the medications,
mentioned
they're trying
about
to pile on top of those medications, for something else.
and
Um,
you taking she's taking natural organic
yeah,
I
natural.
did alternative treatments
now,
for 10 years when I
and
had no meds.
What is it, Maria? What did you?
My mom had a health food store and a vegetarian restaurant in Colombia. So
Mhm.
since we didn't have no access to treatment back then, and in Colombia, if it was bad in the U.S., just imagine South America.
Right.
Like seriously, I didn't know anyone that had this, and so I did everything herbal, alternative. Japanese therapies, Chinese therapies, native South American therapies,
Hmm.
and nothing worked but my ARVs. When I came down to the United States,
Hmm.
is when I basically, that's why, although I understand, because I also we have pill fatigue. I'm tired. Yeah, I don't want to take those medicines no more. But I personally, since I'm always in that low CD4 count, because once my immune system got destroyed, it has really never recovered, although I've been undetectable for 22 years.
well,
And,
listen,
it has never, it's never really recovered. So I cannot
Hmm.
afford
Yeah.
to leave my medication because I
Mhm.
will die.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
No, not to leave them, but there
Yeah.
are other
Oh,
things that
oh, combining them.
yeah, there's a
Mhm.
lot of other things that can help us feel stronger.
The gym is very good.
Oh
I
yeah.
know Lolita's not even on
Yeah.
depression medication anymore.
Yeah.
She's
And
not in the
menopause. Menopause. When I first started menopausing at age
Oh,
50,
that too.
that was horrible. And then I went to my doctor because I had already had a hysterectomy, and I'm like, what can I do? Because I started menopause, and I'm like, I can't do this. And she's like, well, we got a pill, but my doctor's like this. I talked to her, and I'm like, I'm going to look into other alternatives because I don't want another pill. And I let her know,
Right.
talk to her what I'm doing as far as alternative, and we talk about it, and she said, well, if you could find something that that is natural, alternative, and I found something, and that's what I'm taking. It's a organic, natural organic product that I'm taking for my menopause, and it's helped a lot, but I was something. Ooh, my wife would tell you, boy, I was about to beat her up. The night sweats. It felt like I was
I think I'm going through that.
diagnosed again.
Yeah,
Drenched. Remember the symptoms when you were diagnosed and you didn't know what it was, and you was having the night sweats and the chills, and I was
Hmm.
going through all that. I said, "Oh no, no, I can't do this."
Yes, I think I'm going through that. Truthfully,
Yeah,
maybe that's also a part of like the aging.
and I think that I think the HIV and menopause. I was reading up on that.
Yeah.
The symptoms are exasperated because
it's
Hmm.
worse.
And it
it's
messes our
Worse.
hormones up.
it's worse.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yes.
Some of
There's a very
them
good
don't.
fact sheet about HIV and menopause in the Well
Mhm.
Project, which is a women's organization
Bad.
that I volunteered for and now I work with, and because I believe that we need more organizations for women, like PWN and the Well Project. But really, we were even talking about. I was seeing that today. I was so upset. There's no research for women for PrEP. There's no research for women for nothing. There's never really been a research. We don't have male bodies. Everything is about other groups. How about us? 50% of people living with HIV in the world are women. And
Right.
why is there no research on us? Why? You
We
know,
had some funding for that, but what happened was just like I find now, and again, me being a devil's advocate, I'm not going back to work for to advocate for. I'm advocating because I really love the people. I did years of advocating from the time I was diagnosed,
right.
and I still advocate, but I refuse to do it because for the government, because it for me it's about the people. The
Yeah.
people that need the help. I don't know. I can't cut on and cut off my emotions. And I have somebody here that's really just got diagnosed. We just told them they were HIV positive and they have no support. And you want me to kick them out my office? I can do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we have so much, but the women, we have to show up. We have to show
Yeah.
forces. We had a lot of good programs down here in California for women. Some of them I helped start it, but now we don't have all those programs because we lost our funding because women weren't showing up.
And
You
also
know.
Yeah.
this administration.
Hmm.
Let me read another comment here. Connie says we need more focus on trauma-informed care.
Yes.
Yes, and a focus on healing.
Mm.
Yes,
Yes. Oh, I love you,
Yes,
Connie.
honey.
I have been to countries, I mean, countless groups,
Mhm.
conferences, and workshops that preach self care, but not one of them offer self care or healing.
Mm. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
healing. I really like that term. Yeah,
And
heal.
sometimes advocates, we burn ourselves
Get
out.
burned out. I got.
And that's what we helping everybody. But when I'm like, okay, where's my appointment? What's going?
Mm-hmm.
I'm focusing on the whole world, but not on myself, and I can't do that no more. You got to be selfish
Yeah,
sometimes.
you do.
Yeah,
You do.
yeah.
You do. You do, Maria.
What can you? What do you want to tell people that are watching? Just being a long-term survivor. I don't know how I'm trying to form this question, but just being a long-term, being diagnosed for so many years. Did you ever feel that you would not make it this far to this point where we're at today? Did you ever feel
Mm-hmm.
that these medications from years ago weren't going to have you to be here this long just from the toxicity of the medication,
Hmm.
not wanting to get out of the bed, the nausea, the vomiting, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Exactly.
Yes.
So are you still dealing with, you're not dealing with those still from the medication,
Yes,
or
I am. Yes, I
dealing
am.
with, are you dealing with the long-term effects from the toxicity from the medication?
Yes, I still throw up. I still have
Yeah.
diarrhea. I
Mm-hmm.
still have, I just got, obviously, I'm going to be in a lot of pain because I was mentioning it to D and I was public about it. I made it a point that I was going to enter 2020 with opiate dependency. I've been opiate dependent for 19 years because I was prescribed because I couldn't walk for 3 months and I had pain, neuropathy, and every. I didn't know what the hell I was taking back then. I wasn't as proactive as I am now, and it's
Right.
like heroin. So after 19 years,
Mm-hmm.
I'm off.
Mm-hmm.
And now my brain is not the receptors and everything that got damaged by the opiates have it has to heal. My
Yeah.
brain has to heal. So obviously my brain is screaming. Everything hurts,
Mm-hmm.
but I have to continue enduring because I will not go back.
Yeah.
Because if I'm dying, I
Mm-hmm.
need opiates to work for me because I don't want to be dying a painful death. And as far as if I'm living like I'm dying, well, we're all dying. every
Yeah.
day. I mean, the truth is, but I do live with the fear of death all the time, that I'm going to get sick and die still.
Mm.
So you ended up on the opiates because of the body
Well, I hurt my L4 and L5, and I couldn't walk for 3 months. So I
pain.
started taking low milligrams, and for 3 months, after 3 months, the body becomes dependent.
Yeah.
And then the other situations came about, the neuropathy, the HIV inflammation, because our bodies are so stressed out, because the immune system is kind of high alert all the time, because we
Yes.
have a virus in our system, and
Mhm.
not a little virus. It's a virus that's trying to kill us.
Over
It's
everything.
like living with the enemy every day. Someone is trying to
Mhm.
kill you every day.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
if you slack, it's gonna get you. Because I
Mhm.
have seen it with my own eyes,
Mhm.
and so this is a very stressful situation to live with.
Mhm.
I don't like to really talk so negative, especially to people
Yeah.
that are newly diagnosed, because they get scared. But
Yeah.
sometimes I have to tell them, because although we don't look like what we've been through, and it's a good thing, it's also sometimes is a double-edged sword, because people don't think that we are sick or that we're feeling
But I
sick.
think people need to hear
Oh,
this.
I tell them, listen, I'm a 31-year survivor of AIDS, and I have to tell them just like that, bluntly, not of
Yeah.
HIV, not that, and then they're like, oh, okay.
Well, Renee says, thanks for sharing, ladies. Keep up the fight. You may feel alone, you may get tired, but
Mm.
keep on fighting until there is a cure and HIV no
Mm.
longer exists. I
Thank
am
you.
also an advocate activist in Tustin, Arizona.
Mhm.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Renee.
Thank you.
thank you, Renee.
You know, that medication though, the neuropathy, back then, especially with the AZT, we had so
Mm.
many people being diagnosed with neuropathy, and then they got them on pain pills. I myself, I was on pain pills because my body, like you was mentioning earlier, D, my body ached. I couldn't
Mm.
move I couldn't even sleep. I tossed and
Mm-hmm.
turned all night, and I had sciatica. My
Oh.
sciatica nerve, all
Hmm.
that. I mean, you name it. But again, I'm not. I don't take the pain meds. I take, like I try to do alternative things, and one of them is, got a hold of, because I never was. I didn't, even before this, I didn't, my diet wasn't good, but I wouldn't eat certain things. I still don't. They say I'm picky. I don't, call it what you want, but I try to be mindful of what I put in my body. And
That's
so
right.
that, if you just think about it, with the opioid that's going on right now, this is serious, because they put you on these opioids, and then
Mm-hmm.
people get dependent on them, and they cannot get the opioid because you have to have a prescription. And then, especially now, they make it
Mm-hmm.
harder for you to get it on a prescription
Mm-hmm.
because of the opioid epidemic. But guess what? Now they turn it to heroin. And
Exactly, because they can't take
heroin,
the withdrawals.
you could die immediately from a shot of heroin. You understand? And,
Yep,
and
yep.
so it's leading to, and again, where does it end?
You
Yeah.
know
Where
what,
does it
Lily?
end?
I agree with you 100%. I know so many long-term survivors that are dead because of a drug overdose, not because of HIV or AIDS.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's because of that, because they've been taking these opiates that the doctors gave us,
Hmm.
which they are the ones that are like, they're guilty. They have blood in their hands. And then they all of a sudden something happens in their practice or whatever, they drop them.
Hmm.
And then they're like left with these horrendous like withdrawals like of heroin.
Yeah.
I'm pretty tough. I got through it with also a new medication that's approved by the FDA
Mm.
called Lucemira, and it had me like in a coma for like 4 days.
Mhm.
Because it slows the heart rate and your blood pressure. And I did it with my partner, not in a medical facility. I could have something could have happened to me,
Yeah.
a seizure. You never know, but I got through it, and I think that I am going to heal. And
Mm.
as I work out and as I go to my mom in Colombia, my body's going to get stronger again, and
Yeah.
I won't feel as much pain.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm hopeful.
Yes, sis.
Someone has a question. Hi, Dorian.
Hi, Dorian.
Hi.
Dorian has a question. Dorian says, "Where do y'all see yourself in 20 years? How old will you be in 20 years?"
In 20 years, I will be 73. and I see myself somewhere in Belize, back home.
In Belize?
Belize, yeah, that's where I'm from. And I
I
see
love
myself
Belize.
in Belize. Isn't it beautiful?
Yes.
I'm trying to get back this year, but I see myself somewhere in Belize on the ocean on a boat, but still helping others.
Yeah.
That's is my heart. I have the servant of a heart, and I want to continue to help people. And I'm not going to let HIV dictate to me when I'm going how to live and when I'm going to die. I just
Yeah.
used to. Back then, I remember it was a time when I would wake up and the first thing HIV. You go to sleep, HIV. You live HIV. Today, I'm living life. I'm living life. Dino, we live life to the fullest, but that doesn't make it, make it easier. And as far as the people that um a lot of people are tired of it. Like right now, I've lost a lot of people because why they got tired of taking the medications and they just stopped. And once they
Yeah.
did that, everything started going left.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
that's how I lost a lot of the people that I knew, that was living with HIV, and I have some now that they're really going through it, as long term survivors.
Yep.
I just try to count my blessings and just do what the best that I am. But it's like I tell anybody, look, you don't want this.
No, you don't want
You do
You
not
know,
want
honestly,
this.
we could
Hell
sit
no.
here and we
it.
could say this, that, and the other, and we could even paint a pretty picture because we still here. I'm a grandmother. My oldest grandson is going to be 16 years old.
You're
Like,
blessed.
yes, that's what I'm saying. So I can't,
I wish I
I
had
have
that.
to keep going. I have to keep going. But I'm telling you, you guys don't want this. And the newly, it's like we need to come together. This shouldn't be, because we're here to help you. We want to help you get to where we are. To be, hey, we ain't no better than, we ain't no less than. But if we could help you to be the best advocates that you can be, that's what I want to do. I don't want to have no gap like it's us versus them. But sometimes, like we just went to a training last week and I didn't even go back. It was a 2-day training. I couldn't do it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest because
Mm.
it's like we can't say for me, we can't say, hey, we know you equals you. We got PrEP, we this, we that. No shame about HIV. But then when you go to these settings, the the powers that be, which be the CDC people, the pharmaceutical people that show up because they are, footing the bill for this, they make us feel like there is no hope. That's how I feel like. So, it's like either we gonna uplift these people that's coming in newly diagnosed and tell them, hey, you still got a chance, but let's try to see if we could help them do it differently, Maria D, so that they don't go through. We already went through all that. We doing a little bit better now with you equals you with the new medication where you can only take one pill. So let's
Yeah.
try to work with them to get them to be the best advocates they can. It shouldn't be, but they be having you thinking like, man, like we was feeling like we was gonna die.
Like, oh,
I would say I said, look, I gotta go. I got an emergency. I ain't gonna lie. I said I gotta go. We got an emergency. We left. We didn't go back.
I feel you on that. Well, and as far as
what
what
are,
Dorian asked about, I
yeah,
have a
that's what I was
different.
going to ask.
I'm gonna have a different, and I don't want to sound tragic. I guess I'll be 66. I'm 46, and I don't think I'm gonna be here. But that's okay. That's okay because 66 is a pretty good lived life as well. I have lived so much, and I have done so much, good and bad. I think I have. I'm here in a mission. I think I could die tomorrow and I could say that I have completed my mission because if you touch one life, that's all that it matters. Not and but hey, when I was young, much younger, I thought I wasn't gonna go more than 28 years old, and I'm now 46. So I might end up being like my grandmother that died at 98 and my great grandmother died
Might
at
be here to you,
115. But I don't
106.
want to though. I don't want to
I'm gonna be
go that late.
105. I ain't going nowhere.
I don't want that. I want to go to heaven. Oh, and another thing that I do want to mention before I forget is that we are in a gap. At least I am. and especially in these conferences, and I've talked about it with Paul and with people that organize these conferences, there's the youth, and then there's the plus 55, which is considered long-term survivors, the ones aging with HIV. But there's a bunch of us right in that middle. Okay, like myself. So we don't have a place, and most of them are people that were born with HIV that are now 30 or 35 years
Yeah,
old, and they're long-term survivors. I
those are
got it
long-term
at
survivors.
15. I was a teenager. I am a long-term survivor, but I don't fit the 55 and I don't fit the youth. I'm in the middle. So we need to, like you said, Lily, we have to close in that gap, because at the end of the day, we're all humans, and young people could learn a lot from our struggle. But I also want to tell them that it's not going to be the same as it was for us.
Everybody
Okay.
has their own journey.
Says,
Yes.
Dorian says, love it. The next frontier is us aging and living stronger.
Yes.
There is another question. Wait, Dorian also says, I hear that and support you. Yep. Emerging LSTs need to be recognized too. There is another question.
Okay.
Bruce says, what are your asks to the ASOs and activist community? In other words, what do we need to see happen in this field, to better support long-term?
We need a special assessment by all healthcare providers, the case management, our healthcare providers, our mental health person that sees us. It has to be like a comprehensive assessment on people like us. Because most of us have the same things: anxiety, PTSD, depression, survivor's guilt, and the pill fatigue, and just so much things
Yeah.
that sometimes I even get angry when someone is newly diagnosed and they're like, oh, this is horrendous and this and that. And I look at them, but I can't be that way.
Yeah,
Because
you're like, come on
I
now.
even do it to my partner, and
You almost made me spit my tea out.
I do look at them sometimes like, listen,
Oh my God.
you're just starting this, please do not compare yourself to
Live,
me. Yeah,
live
that's
a
what I
little.
say to them. Do
Yeah.
not compare yourself to me, because you haven't been where I've been.
Mm.
So, I get a little mean sometimes when it comes to that,
Yeah,
because it gets me mad,
I've
you know?
noticed. I've noticed that I've heard that a lot of people who are diagnosed or living with HIV and AIDS for many years go through insomnia.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
So I don't care.
Ah,
There's a lot of
Yes.
them that don't sleep well. You learn a lot, just from listening to other people. And in the beginning, you think it's just you, but then you come to find out it's not just you.
oh no.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
whole group of people who don't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
We
like,
gaining weight.
wow. What you say?
Gaining weight. Mm-hmm. I swear, wait, Marie, when I started taking the medication, all of a sudden
Oh
I
my
just blew
God.
up. I mean, I was just blowing up and all, and I said, "Oh no, 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 no!"
That's
Like,
why I gotta hit that gym when I come back. I'm telling you.
mhm,
Yeah.
medication too. Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. He says, yes, we need to uplift. Let's stop all the anger and
Yeah.
scare tactics. I hope you are here, Maria, in 20 years.
yes,
You are such an
yes.
inspiration and touch
Mm-hmm.
so many lives.
Mm-hmm.
If it's God's will.
And we're gonna be on
It's
that boat.
God's
Hey,
will.
not in Belize, Maria.
Okay.
All of us. We gonna be. Hey.
Well, maybe all of us are gonna be old and together.
Yes, that would be
Oh,
nice.
that'd be nice. Sitting down on some cocoa.
Yeah. The elderly retreat.
You know, no, we can't call it that. No,
Oh my God.
no.
I don't want to go
You
to
know what,
66. I
man?
really don't.
Yeah, I do. I want to live as long as I can. But there's so many young people that's newly diagnosed that are really depressed,
Yeah.
and a lot of the depression is not even regarding the medication. It's regarding the stigma,
Yes.
Yeah.
the stigma and the shame of
Yes.
because we could paint a pretty picture, but the bottom line is a lot of people, all they still hear and see is if you say you're HIV positive, ugh, you must have been out there doing some nasty stuff.
Mm,
You're a whore or
People,
gay.
back then they weren't testing the blood products. Even today, up until recently, someone got exposed at doing a procedure at a dental office. Some other people got exposed through medical procedures. So
Jesus. The
you
hell?
still, have to protect yourself, but it's not that. But
it's still
because that's where it came, where they said that it came from, that's what a lot of people. And so I think that the shame that a lot of these newly diagnosed, and so that's something that my heart goes out to them because I want to say the same thing. It's like just keep living. It gets easier. I don't care. It is what it is. I've been called names. I've been people walked out my life, and
Hmm.
so that's old news. I don't even care. The
We
people
don't care.
supposed to be here are right here, right.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
that's what really because of there's so many of them are depressed, and
Yeah.
they're really having a hard time dealing with their diagnosis.
Lilith, I agree with you. My partner is 13 years younger than me, 33 years old. And like I said, newly diagnosed, 2 years. And obviously, the adherence part and everything, he's seeing kind of like what he should follow, right, to
Mhm.
survive and to thrive. Even though he's also seen me, he gets scared because he's seen me drop like I'm gonna die or something. But I get back up, and I tell him, "Listen, you're gonna see this a lot, but I'm gonna get back up. Trust me. I may be down, but I'm not gonna be down for too long. Because if I die, like I tell him, I will die standing. But I tell him." Because he tells me, "Oh, I'm so tired of taking this pill, and now I have to take this anxiety, and also for cholesterol." And then he was like also pre-diabetic, all these bunch of things. And I say, listen,
Mhm.
I say, you got to get used to it. I have been taking it for 22 years. Just imagine how I feel.
You
So it's not that I'm trying to put it back to me or being a narcissist or anything, but I just tried to show him that it could be worse.
Yeah.
He's just starting this process.
Well, it's a blessing, Maria, that he has you.
Yeah.
It's a
Who
blessing that
knows? Who knows? Because I'm pretty tough. And
yeah.
sometimes I
But it's
need to
still
be
a blessing.
a little bit more understanding because
Yeah.
sometimes he's like, oh, I'm like, listen, we had unprotected sex. I mean, it is what it is. Can't cry about it. What are we gonna do? Lay in a bed and die? No. And you got to take your meds. Thank God you're not taking 30 medications a
Oh
day.
man. Yeah.
So I'm tough on him, and I
Mhm.
don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that tends to be kind of like my position. But I do have to soften up. We are all a process in evolution.
Yeah.
But I just feel like there it could be worse. Like for even me, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining about what I'm going through, the pains and this and that. There's people that I know that are long-term survivors that can't walk.
Oh yeah.
Okay, they have no one to love them.
Mhm.
Okay, they're or they can't afford medication. They're in Venezuela and they're dying.
Oh,
Just so many
Oh
things.
yeah.
They committed suicide because they can't take it anymore.
bad.
Mhm.
So I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going through something.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to be mindful of,
Mhm.
especially on social media that we're very active. Sometimes we lose our empathy and compassion, and we attack each other in the community. That really breaks my heart, and it makes
Oh,
me sick. Actually, it makes me really physically sick.
I can't
And
take
they're
it.
depressed.
I
Yeah.
can't take it.
I can't
I
either. I'm tired of it. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's why a lot of activists that are good hardcore activists they quit.
Mhm.
So what we're
yeah.
doing now is like Lily said, we're right now what I'm focusing is I'm tired of seeing my face really. So mentoring. I've been mentoring
Yeah.
a long time,
Exactly.
males and females.
Yeah.
Well,
You know,
I like your face.
Mhm.
thank you, but it's I could do more behind the scenes or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and the truth is, in my community, the Latinx community, is very hard to try to have someone show their faces
Yeah.
because they're like don't ask don't tell. They're like communities of color are all the same.
Oh
They're
yeah.
all
The
controlled by the
same.
religion.
Mhm.
So then now you're facing the
And that's
part
a
where,
whole
okay,
nother
you
topic.
got
We
it.
start talking about
Yes,
religion.
the
Oh,
God is God, God's punishing you. Or
Yeah.
like I say,
oh,
why when we disclose that we have cancer, we get compassion, but when we disclose we have HIV, we get questioned.
Well, let me say something because there's a lot of backlash. You know, I was just speaking to Lalit's wife yesterday,
Who?
Raquel.
I'm sorry. Oh, you okay?
Lalit, my
Yes,
wife,
yes, yes,
about you equals you,
yes.
and the backlash and the debates and I'm sick of it.
mm,
Tired of it.
We need to come together
Hmm?
as a community.
mhm,
Everybody advocates on different issues, and no matter what those issues are, we need to agree to disagree, but
mm,
in a loving way. Do
yeah,
you
Yeah,
understand what I'm
oh,
saying?
yeah.
yeah,
So I
definitely.
think some people they don't realize. I think they really think that when it comes to prevention access campaign, that they are the ones that have created these campaigns everywhere, but they didn't. It's individuals
Yeah.
in different places, in different
Yep.
states, in different countries who have
Yep.
created and used their own money to create these campaigns. So you
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of people that say, well, provision access is creating this campaign. That's not what they're doing. It's
Just
up to each individual to create their own. And if you think that this you equals you doesn't look like you, then you
hmm.
make it look like you. Because
Okay.
every single individual, organization, healthcare facilities, and ASOs have did. They made it look like their community.
Okay.
So
Mhm,
I always say, no matter what anybody advocates for, if you want it to look like you can make it look like
mhm. Oh
You
yeah.
you. Do you
can't. Yeah.
understand?
But the
So
sad part about it is a lot of long-term survivors are the ones that give us the most hell with this.
I
Mhm,
know,
You
I
mhm,
know.
know, because mentally maybe they
Well,
were
and
conditioned to be in self stigma, or but at the end of the day, this is not about really about sex or about having raw sex or anything that they're thinking about. Because I've seen people say, oh, you equals you is promoting just this unprotected sex, and they're
a
getting
lot of people
STDs and
say,
all that.
they're
No,
not.
it set me free, because you know what, I find it very horrendous that I couldn't tell my partner, that I was with back then,
yeah,
that I was not going to transmit the virus to them. So I had to live in that fear. And they knew the truth. So, it's personal to me. And at the same time, it is my duty to spread the word,
yeah. Well, it's
because
not
this is a
just about
science.
sex. It's not about sex.
It's
It's
not
not just about sex.
stigma.
Do you know how many people?
A lack of education.
Thank you, thank
You,
you.
you know, you equals you. We have known this, and thank you again, Bruce. But we have
Yes.
known this before they jumped on the bandwagon and started saying,
Yes,
yeah, it's a
Hmm.
yes,
we knew
Since
this.
the Swiss statement.
So many people, so many friends, so many fellow advocates, so many colleagues um, that were in, several discordant relationships,
Yes.
having babies, they were having families. And the
Hmm.
person that was positive, that started out in the unit, remained
Yep.
positive. Nobody else, not the children, not the partner. You
Yep.
so we knew this, that there, not everybody was going, was susceptible to pass it, and not everybody was equally susceptible to receive the virus. So
It's
there's things that we know, but they keep it for whatever, for whatever reasons, and that's another because
Well,
I keep it off
they
the
said
middle.
it. Dr. Anthony
Let me
Fauci said
read.
it. He said that the reason why they didn't tell us is because they didn't feel we were responsible. And
yeah.
I took that as a very disrespectful thing.
Let me read a couple of more because we're not going to be on here that much longer. Um, Dorian says, "Amen to all of you. Sounds like we're a bit tired, frustrated, or jaded? He said,
All of the above.
what is your self-care recharge? And then I'll read another question after that. So what is your self-care recharge? It's a good question.
What was the question?
What is your self-care recharge?
To
My
recharge.
self care. Oh, myself
How do you yeah,
to
self-care.
recharge.
To
How do I
recharge.
to recharge? I be, you know what? This is how I recharge. I read the word, I pray, and I meditate. And then after I do those things, then I get out there and after I do those, then I get out there and try to help other people, like you talked about mentoring. I don't really, I still advocate because it's in me. I'm not going to stop until God tells me,
Okay.
it's time for you to stop because I walked away before. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
mentoring is very important. Then I do that. I try to help others, and I
Yep.
go out there and I try to keep myself fit. So that's how I recharge, changing my diet, changing my exercise routine, helping others. But the first thing I do is I connect with the man up above. And that's what gets me because I don't care, I don't care about nobody's belief or lack of belief, but I believe in
Mm.
God, I believe in Jesus Christ. And I know
Me too.
had not been for the Lord who was on my side, I will not be here having this
Amen.
conversation.
Amen. And what I do, well, what I was doing before I got off these opiates that have been a horrendous process. I was working out a lot, lifting weights, and that I wasn't feeling depressed. I wasn't feeling anxious. I didn't feel no pain. I
Yeah,
felt strong as hell.
yeah.
So I got to get back to that. But to recharge, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Colombia to go
Yeah,
see my mother, and I'm going to be in an island with
yeah.
2 hours away from land, kayaking and
I want
canoeing and
to
swimming. Come in Cartagena in
I
the
want
coast of Colombia.
to go.
And
Okay,
then,
he said me too.
yes, so I need love. I need the love of my mom. I need, my partner's going with me. And that beautiful environment is going to, I think, heal my body in many ways. The sun, because sometimes I don't see the sun a lot because I have insomnia. So most of the time when I'm writing or I'm doing, I stay up to 3, 4 in the morning, and I don't sleep well. But all that is going to change because I do eat very well. I do alternative treatments. I also meditate, and I try to have a positive outlook. And that's why I was strong enough to get off these opiates. And a lot of people have written me, telling me that their moms are taking these pills and they have hope
Yeah.
now. And
Oh,
all these, a lot of people, it's affecting a lot of people.
it
Okay.
is.
And so I try to live by example. It's not an easy thing. I'm never going to sugarcoat anything. It's hard. I had people tell me, why don't you just get back on them? You had a better quality of life before. And I said, hell no. After I went through what I went through, no, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do this to the end. And the opiates and that situation has been worse to me than HIV medications. Truthfully, it has really messed my mind up. But we're all going to heal. I also believe in my Savior Jesus Christ, and I have friends that are atheists or Jewish. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
For
nothing.
me, it's Jesus
Yeah,
Christ and
absolutely.
Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
And that's part of my culture, and the love of, like I said, the love of my mother, the love of my partner and my little dog. And like I said, I believe
Oh, the little
HIV took away. Yeah, that's my
Oh my
child.
God, so cute.
Yeah, hey, come here, Lammy. Yeah,
cute. Oh,
that's my little baby. I wish I would have had a real baby, but hey, fur babies are babies too.
and they're still
Yeah.
talking. That's another thing. They're still trying to bring that up, and it's like we come out of the dungeon, and then here's somebody, and these are the people that's up here, the CDC people, whoever, try to kick us right back into that dungeon. Man, they said some stuff like, oh well, no, we could have. Well, not me. I ain't talking about me, but other people, they could have babies vaginally. It doesn't have to be a sick. And they were doing that. They were having babies. They
Mm-hmm.
could still have babies vaginally without a C-section. But then here comes somebody talking about, oh well, yeah, this, that, and it's like we got to stay away from these people.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, that pharmaceutical company, boy, these pharmacies, they making a killing off of us.
Oh yes, they are. AIDS Inc.
Everybody is.
You know what?
I'm like,
Tokenism
where,
too.
hey, after almost 30 years, can we get a piece of the pie? You know,
Okay, at least even if it's the
we've
crumbs.
been guinea pigs and everything else.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Maria, I don't know if D, because this was like right after AZT. Anybody knew they was trying to remember they was trying to use interferon?
Yes.
They had me on that,
Oh
and
my
it was like
goodness.
a powder, and it was like cocaine.
Yes.
I had to put it on them. I'm like, man, you guys got me.
Really?
You know what? I feel like throwing up just by you mentioning that. Is it was horrible.
Mm,
Remember
it
Zerit?
was.
Really?
Zerit, Eve
Yeah.
Hebid, Crixavan. Remember
Yeah.
the
Oh,
life
I
of that?
remember Cricks the
I
Van.
gave
Oh
me
no,
this
that's
on the
another thing.
pills.
It
You had
deformed many
Every
people.
time I think about
You know,
Cricks the Van, I gag.
yeah,
I was
is this
so
horrible?
sick.
mm-hmm.
No, and
Oh,
let's talk about lipoatrophy and lipodystrophy. I know women that were disfigured
Yeah.
physically and males, and because
Mm-hmm.
just by seeing them, you could tell that they were on antiretrovirals, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
them didn't take it because it took all of their youth, everything.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
buffalo
that,
hump.
that,
I lost so many.
That's,
I stopped
oh,
counting. I've
in
lost.
my face. That Cricks Van was terrible.
they gave a Crick's belly, the
Terrible.
visceral
That
fat,
was
and all that. It's
good.
horrible. Yes.
What was that? Norvir? That was horrible.
Oh,
I was,
Oh my
that
God.
one
oh
too.
my
I
God!
was
I feel like throwing
Oh,
up.
that was like one of the worst. I
like,
hated that pill.
And the metal
And it was
taste in the
so big,
mouth.
and I'm like, I can't swallow it. It gets stuck
yes.
Mm-mm.
right here, and
Oh
I
hell
took
no.
both of those as well. No.
Mm.
mm.
So, you
Yeah,
know,
and
It's come a
we're
long
tired of
way.
these
You know,
pills.
I'm grateful, but I just don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. This. I can't see myself. Back to she said, "What do you see in 20 years?" I don't see myself. I see. I'm gonna tell you what I see in 20 years. They're not going to be able to find HIV in my body, and it ain't going to be because of the doctors or the pharmaceutical companies. It's going to be because my God said, "Okay, you have fulfilled everything that you needed. So now I'm going to take that off of you because I feel that I'm here. This is part of my journey. I don't wish any this on anybody. And if I've never blamed anybody. I didn't go try to find the guy.
Mm.
I never tried to pass it on to anybody,
Yep.
essentially none of those things. But I just felt like this is, after a while, it's like I came to that realization that this is something that part of my purpose, part of my journey, and so I just live it to the best I try to. I'm not, I don't always succeed, but I try to. But they're not going to find HIV in my body, and I'm not going to be
I
on
know
no.
that's right.
That's
I
that's
know that's
my
right.
that's my comfort, my whatever. That's what I say. I say that every day, and I look in the mirror and I said, "Okay, Lord, whatever day you said stop the mess, okay." When you find that cure for me, okay, roll with
Well,
it.
I'm
Well,
gonna say,
when you find the cure, please let us know so we
I'll
can
Oh,
get it
say,
well,
too.
we're looking into some stuff. We're looking at some. I will, Maria. Well, we're
I'll
gonna.
say it
I'm
this
gonna
way.
give you my information on inbox. I'm gonna inbox you my information
Okay.
so that
I'll
we
say
can,
in 20
you know,
years,
we can stay.
um, I'll be 70 years old. And in 5 years, I'll be living half my life living with HIV. So I never thought that far, 20 years, because I just live my life.
Mm.
I don't think about it. It's just like when I wake up, I don't think about being diagnosed with
Mhm.
HIV. Because if I keep focusing on it, I won't get through the day. So
Right.
I've learned to just wake up and live my life. I
Do
don't know how long I'm going to be here.
yeah.
I'm going to be here as long as God allows me to be here.
Amen.
Amen.
So I don't think about it. I don't want to think about it. So I just
Yeah.
live. That's just what it is. And ladies, we're gonna close and give everybody some last encouraging words before we get off of here and let them know where they can find you at on your social media
Um,
networks.
I just say, this is what, my wife, I have to acknowledge her, right now. I give God the honor, the glory. I come from, my family was very supportive. They're still very supportive. My mom and dad are no longer here, but the family I have, even cousins, nieces, nephews, they're all very supportive. But my wife, since we've been together, she has really inspired me, and she's negative, and she goes hard for people with HIV. And
Yeah.
she says, "You know what, babe? Nothing else matter. All I want you to do is wake up and be happy." And that's what I want to leave with. Whatever it doesn't matter, because one day, like Maria said, we're all gonna die. We
Yep.
don't know, just because we're HIV positive don't mean we're gonna die from AIDS. I could go out right now and get shot, ran over by a bus,
Yep.
whatever, or I could, just drop dead for whatever
Heart
reason.
attack.
Uh, It's your time. So in the meantime, just wake up and be happy, and then after you do that, just see what it is, that you could do to make a difference in your life and in somebody else's life.
Yeah. Thank
Oh,
you.
that's beautiful. Well, as far as me, I want to tell those that are new. Is this directed to the newly diagnosed or just everyone that's living with HIV?
Everyone. You can choose who you can choose what you want to say.
Well, I guess that this is for everyone newly diagnosed or those that are long-term survivors or anywhere in the middle. Um, I understand what you're going through. Understand your struggle, but at the same time, we have come very far as science. Like for example, U equals U,
Mhm.
the variety of medications that we have now, at least here in the United States, because obviously in other countries they don't have that. Um, you know, I tell them to continue the fight, not only to survive but to thrive.
Mhm.
And if they want to be advocates, I tell them it's not an easy thing, because it's not, and but it's very rewarding because I really firmly believe that when you help other human beings, you're helping yourself. And I think
Yeah.
that that's what has taken me, to live this long and to
Mhm.
continue fighting, because I feel I have a purpose, and my mission on this earth is very clear to me. Not everybody knows their purpose. My purpose is very simple: to give hope to the hopeless
Mhm.
and to educate and prevent anyone from contracting this human condition. And just be strong, be adherent with your medication. Look at the people that have lived a long time with us as your examples, that it can be done. And remember, it is not the same as us that came from those times. These are different times. You're going to be dealing with another set of situations that are probably going to be less. Maybe there's going to be a cure in 5 years or 10 years, So everybody's in their own journey and their own process. But we just have to continue being united with love, and just continue fighting to the end. There's
Thank
no
you.
other option.
That's
Thank you.
beautiful, Maria.
I'm so glad I had you.
Beautiful, Maria. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
I'm so glad. Thank you so much. And trust me, I know just like you guys, social media is a
Oh, oh,
huge avenue for newly diagnosed. And,
yeah.
and just people in general living with HIV who are not open. Things like this help them. It helps them. Um, that's why I started this show 5 years ago.
Okay.
I
Thank you for
know not
that.
everything I usually do, but these shows really help people. I don't care if three people watch. It's helping three.
Okay.
Mhm. Yes.
If you save one, your mission is complete.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yes.
love you guys. Thank you so much. And you can find
It's
Maria.
easy. You Maria HIV Mejia everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram,
Mhm.
Facebook. Maria HIV with a middle on purpose, because I have no shame, you know.
Mhm.
And it's a marketing strategy too. But
Yeah.
Maria
Yeah.
HIV Mejia.
And you just look my name up. I have an unusual name, so if you look my name up, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, and on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you my brand is my hashtag brand is I brand staying positive while living HIV positive. So if you hashtag that, then you'll see a lot of my videos that my wife and I do a lot of advocacy work. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's negative, I'm positive, but we're out there and they call us crazy and nosy. They call her
Mhm.
crazy for being with someone who's HIV positive, and I'm nosy because I'm just like, huh? Who? What? So anyway, but we're there, and if you guys want to reach any one of us, I'm sure we'll all be more than willing to, reach out back to you.
And look at this, just by
Thank you,
doing this and talking with each other, I'm
hmm
feeling better already.
Yeah,
It's like being on the
You see
telephone.
what I'm saying? But
yeah,
that shows
thank
you
you.
that support
Yeah,
or just
it's
talking and
important.
venting about
Hmm hmm
makes things better.
hmm
And
Yeah,
sometimes we have to reach out to others that, especially when they're isolated
Yeah,
or going through
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna make sure I inbox you my information, and if
Okay.
you're up in the middle of the night and you just feel down, you could call me because I wake
oh,
up. I live
Uh,
to have somebody else up in the middle of the night.
okay. Okay, I will.
when that insomnia
Well,
helps you kind of
what I'm saying? We can understand what we're going through. It's
sleep.
not
Yeah,
the same, but
yeah,
we can still, understand what
yeah.
we're going through. So,
Yeah.
All right, ladies.
love
I
you.
love
Okay,
you.
bye
Love you.
guys. Thank you, Ari. Very honored to be with
And
you
Thank you
I
guys. I
have
love
to
you
invite
all.
you.
Bye,
guys
everyone.
for your
I love you guys.
comments, your questions, and just your love and support. Thank you. All right.
I love you, Lily.
Love you, D.
Okay, everybody. That was my first live stream on YouTube, and I think I enjoy it. I kept telling myself that I was going to do something for the YouTube subscribers because I don't come on as much anymore. But I want you guys to know that if you need to find out more about U equals U, which is undetectable, untransmittable, which means a person living with HIV who is on antiretroviral medication and stays adherent to the medication and stays in care can no longer transmit. You'll find out, talk to your doctor about it. If you can't find a doctor that'll talk to you about it, damn it, find one. Because it's our right to know that we cannot transmit. We have to share this information with everyone. It stops the stigma, it puts people back in care, and it gives people hope. U equals U. Preventionaccess.org, U equals U.org. If you want to find out more information on HIV criminalization, you can go to the Center for HIV Law and Policy.org and reach out to them, and they will help you as much as they can. If you are a woman that wants to be a part of a website or reading blogs that have to do with other women, the Well Project is a great one to reach out to. And it's easy to find on Google. So it's WELLPROJECT, the Well Project. You can find it. Trust me, you can find it. I want to tell everybody thank you for watching. And I'm going to say this. This is Positively D. You have to remember that HIV still exists. You have to get tested. You have to use protection. And if you have contracted HIV, you can get on medication and you can live a better, healthier life. Support everyone, no matter what. And that's how I've always felt. If you don't support it, keep your mouth closed and let that person do their job in their advocacy. I love you guys. See you in a couple of weeks.